All right. So I'm going to talk about innovation in the enterprise, and specifically I'll talk about applying innovation in software development. So first, a little bit about my background. I'm Amish Gandhi. Not able to see this, sorry. I'm the founder of Perpetual. We're a product innovation company for finance, media, and telecom. My background in innovation is working on innovation for financial services and also wearable computing for media companies. And prior to this, I had experience developing emerging products for telecom and also studied innovation at MIT. So in this talk, I'll go over sorry about this, 1 minute. There we go. So in this talk, I'll talk about introduction to innovation. I'll go over the context broadly. What is business innovation? And then specifically, how is innovation different for software? What does it mean? What does innovation mean for software companies? And then the most exciting part, which is 7 steps for software innovation. So first of all, when people think of innovation, what do they think of? It's usually ideas. There are multiple ideas coming up. There's a genius person, and he's coming up with ideas, and that's innovation. But that's not necessarily true. There's a lot more that goes into innovation. And innovation can actually be applied. It can be systematically applied as a process, as an initiative, as something that can be proactively done. So with that, let me first define innovation. So what is innovation? Innovation is a process that combines discovering an opportunity, blueprinting an idea to seize that opportunity, and then implementing the idea to achieve results. Now, this third point is very important. You have to have results with innovation. Innovation is not just an experiment or an invention. You have to have results. No impact, no innovation. On the flip side, let's see what innovation is not. So innovation is not just an improvement. It's not just doing the same thing a little bit better. It means doing something completely different. Also, innovation does not go unnoticed. It has big impact. It's either big market impact, big industry impact. It definitely has big impact. And lastly, innovation is not just invention. You file a few patents, that doesn't mean you're innovating. You have to apply invention for innovation to be real. So first, I'll start out with business innovation. Just broadly set the context here. So innovation can have significant business impact. Of course, it can, depending on where you apply it, it can have social impact, different types of impact. But for a business, it can definitely have major market impact. And specifically by, for example, can help grow the core business. So an example here is Amazon. They launched around 95. They were selling books, and that was their core business, selling books online. So they innovated on a few ideas. One idea was one-click shopping, and they strengthened their core business by that innovation. And then after that, the next point is extending the core. How do you extend beyond the core and grow your core business? So in the example with Amazon, they launched sort of a light platform where they allowed other companies to sell other products beyond just books. So that's the Associates program. And then the third point is innovation can help expand beyond the core business. So in Amazon example, a company that's selling products online, their innovation was cloud computing, and that helped them expand beyond the core. So innovation can help a business grow from strength to strength. So in the example of Amazon, year over year, they've had innovation after innovation after innovation, and that's helped them establish their market position. This model is what I like to call continuous innovation. Just like you have continuous integration, continuous deployment, it's very important to have a mindset of continuous innovation. So the next point here is for a business, how does a business discover innovation? What are the opportunities for innovation? So my favorite one for this is the MIT Innovation Radar. So any business has all these core areas, and there are opportunities for innovation in all of those different areas. Software fits in the top right quadrant with platform and solutions, and that's the area where there are opportunities to innovate and help the business grow. At the bottom right, you see what are the causes of innovation, all the way from something unexpected happening, like a sudden discovery or a new technology that's discovered, to inequality between what the product offers and what the market needs are, so the gap in reality, and all the way through. So what's interesting is all these points, 1 to 7, they are all relevant for software today. So in the software industry, it's a very interesting time right now. It's a very exciting time. All of these points for innovation happen. There's market changes, there's new disruptive technologies, there's customer perception change. So it's a great time to be in software right now. So no talk on innovation is complete without a look at the Innovators Dilemma. So Innovators Dilemma basically means that for any big company to remain competitive, they need to look at disruptive technologies and introduce products with those technologies to stay relevant. Because if they remain satisfied at the high end of the market, they're doing okay, then a small company is going to come along, use the new technology, start at the low end of the market, and grow in and enter their premium market. So it's very important for any company to be aware of the possibilities, especially in software with so many disruptive technologies available. So an example here is when there were horse carriages was the main mode of transport. The invention was the motorized engine, and the product was the car. And Ford came along and built it, and that entered the low end of the market before people were complaining that it creates a lot of smells, it's sort of so noisy, I don't want this. But over time, it slowly started to capture the market and become the primary force. An equivalent in technology is, you can say, let's take an example here. Oracle is one of the market leaders for data. So a lot of innovative, disruptive technologies coming in. So NoSQL is a disruptive technology, and companies like MongoDB are entering the market with products using that technology, and they are offering it to the low end of the market and slowly growing very rapidly. So it's very wise of Oracle to be aware of that and build a product with that technology, and that way maintain their market position. So now let me talk about innovation in software companies. What is different about software that makes it more amenable or not amenable to innovation? So there's 7 main differences here. The first one is disruptive technologies. So over the last 10 years or so, with the rise in the consumer internet, there have been so many new technologies, so many disruptive technologies, all the way from cloud computing, new types of web servers, new types of programming languages, that a lot of opportunities to create new products and disrupt the existing products. Next point is market trends. So right now, people expect a lot more from their products, and people are using software directly much more now. Just before about 15 years, people were not using the internet. There were no smartphones. There were no gadgets or devices. But in the last 15 years, that's changed a lot. There's a major shift in the market. Another point about software is there's a very low barrier to entry. It's very easy for anyone to enter the market. So an example here is all of these companies from Amazon, Apple, and Google, they all started in a garage. The next point is competition. Because there's a low barrier to entry, it's very easy for any company to enter, or any individual even to enter the market. So competitors show up overnight. The next point is higher level value creation. So this point is we've figured out how to deliver software efficiently, quickly, correctly. We've figured that out compared to 20 years ago when delivering software, launching software was a big process. It was a big deal. Hey, like I shipped a product to the market. Wow, it took 6 months, it took a year. But now it's become much easier with processes like Agile and Lean. You can launch a product very fast. So at this point, now you can start creating value much quickly. Next point is complexity. So software by nature is a very complex entity, and developing software is very complex. Unlike other businesses, your labor force in software development is highly skilled. So even your most junior developer is also a very skilled individual. So it's a very complex topic here. And the next point is ability to have huge impact with limited resources. So the classic example is Instagram with 2 infrastructure engineers where they're able to scale to 30 million end users. That's tremendous. So just to recap the 7 points. So with that, I'm going to go over 7 steps for applying innovation in a software company. Now, before I jump into this, I'll say that innovation can be systematically applied. It's not just, as I said, an idea, or it's not just a stroke of genius. You can consciously, proactively apply innovation, especially in software. So the 7 steps, 1 to 7 here. The first one is make it the norm. So this means make innovation part of the day-to-day. It should be managed like any other corporate function, be it HR, finance, development. It should be just another corporate function. And it should be given time and resources. And there should be a sense of urgency, but not just for public relations. There should be an inherent sense of urgency. Everyone should be on board. And the next point is innovation culture is very important. And I'll talk about that shortly. But then you'll ask me, these are very general points, how do you make it the norm? So a few ideas here. First one is projectize. You have to make it official. It has to be a business initiative, and it has to be part of your employee objectives. And as I mentioned, it has to be managed like any other corporate function. Next point is culture. You have to evaluate your innovation culture, and I'll talk about that shortly as well. And the third point is, as you're thinking about innovation, think about the long term. It's not about short-term gains. It is about the long term. The next point is perception. It's very important to sell the innovation agenda in the company. So as much as possible, when you're talking about ideas, try to use visuals at every step. And the other point about perception is don't talk about change. People tend to get nervous that, oh, there's changes coming. So always talk about new opportunities. The next point here is IP, it's intellectual property. So most companies have a legal team. The legal team is pretty aware of intellectual property and the pros and cons. And they can help plug into that ecosystem. And as you're innovating, might as well get some IP on it. Might as well intellectualize your ideas. Just some more insight on this. So how do you make it the norm? Software developers are very proud of what they do. And sometimes on their own accord, on their own initiative, they'll use open source. They'll contribute back to open source. So it's important to nourish that intrinsic motivation and harness and use that motivation. And the next point is technology is very cool, again. People don't treat technology people like nerds or geeks anymore. It's become kind of a cool thing again. So it's important to showcase that in the company and raise the profile of engineering in your companies. Another point of making it the norm is a lot of innovation-friendly processes, from Agile to Lean, UCD. All of these are very innovation-friendly. They help you ship a product fast. They help you find problems sooner. They help you fail fast, in a sense. And another important thing is experimentation, allocating time to experimentation. So as an example of this for a minute. So Spotify, very large music service, very successful music service. One question that people have when applying Agile is only for small teams. How do you make it scale? So Spotify has one of the best ways of doing that. So the way they've set it up is they have small individual teams called squads, and every squad is responsible for a small function, and it's operated like a lean startup. So for example, there's a squad for the recommendation section, there's a squad for the music player, there's a squad for mobile, there's a squad for library, and they're all independent teams, and they're able to ship and deliver faster. And dependencies are managed by product owners, and they also have, across squads, they maintain chapters, which are groups of common skills, like testing would be one chapter, front-end development would be another chapter. So they're able to implement this process, scale it, and move fast and innovate. The next point is using tools to manage innovation. There are actually a lot of tools out there that help you gather ideas, help with brainstorming, and help manage it through the process. And so some examples are here: BrightScale, IdeaScale. So IdeaScale is a product that lets you gather ideas across your companies. So you just install it, and it helps you gather information, gather ideas. It helps you rank ideas. That's a very good tool to use. Another one is Innocentive, that helps you not only gather information from within the company, but also helps you launch crowdsourcing initiatives. So the next step here is make it a company mission. So making it a norm is about entrepreneurial innovation. The next strategy here is kind of a top-down model. So it should be part of your company's mission statement. But it's also important to have an executive champion who's backing the concept, and they're persistent about it. It's not something they just do once. And beyond that, it's important to have a senior sponsor and an operator, if you will, to manage people, to manage money, to manage time at that level. The next thing is it's important to have some ambitious projects, think big, have some big projects that are approved by management and that you actually plan to deliver. Also, there should be a mix of creative people, but also experienced operators. It's very important to have that blend. And also, it's important to move fast and deliver quickly and get validation as early as you can. The next point here is to create an innovation culture. The thing about culture is it's hard to know what changes you need to make. So one model that I've seen work is this evaluating innovation culture. So there are 10 points here, and for each one, you can go around your company and give your company a score from 1 to 10, and at the end of it, add up the points, and that gives you a measure of your innovation culture. So all the way from how involved are your employees, how much freedom do they have, or how much idea time do they have, and create an aggregate, and that'll give you a score. And depending on how you're doing, you can you make changes or not. So if you're a super innovator, then you're fine. You can keep doing what you're doing, and more power to you. But if you're in the danger zone, then you need to make changes. So just some insight on what kind of culture is most successful in software development. So a flatter organization structure, like the fewer layers, the better. Open and powerful development environments. So the best state-of-the-art computers, the best IDEs always makes a difference. and also tools to launch products, like the ability to ship and deliver product to end users. So access to servers to ship software quickly. Equally important is experimentation, and not just experimentation, but openness to experimental failure. It's important to get feedback, but also rewarding innovation is very important. So building in a formal reward structure for innovation is equally important. Sometimes you have to ignite innovation in your company if you're in the danger zone. So a few techniques you can use. Brainstorming is the most well-known technique, but it's usually misunderstood. There's a lot of misconceptions about brainstorming. Does it work? Yes. Brainstorming does work, but there's certain ways to do it. For example, you need to separate idea generation from idea evaluation. It's very important to make that separation. The second point is, if you're brainstorming, don't just give it half an hour, let's do a half an hour meeting. Give it a couple of hours, give it 2 hours, and what tends to happen is the common ideas come out in the first half an hour, and then people start to think outside the box. After about an hour, people start coming up with the really innovative ideas. Also, the group size shouldn't be smaller than 6 and bigger than 12 people. It's the best sort of number, it's the sweet spot. And encourage sort of collaborative brainstorming model. Now, how do you pick who's in a brainstorming group? So one model that works well is the 6 thinking hats model. So this means bring in people from different areas, all the way from the white to the blue. So that means like the white hats are the people with the facts and the knowledge. The reds are people with the people who will kind of give a sort of emotional response to something, not a facts-based response. And then someone who's discerning with good judgment, it might be senior management, and someone who's very optimistic, and of course the creatives, it might be the intern, and then someone to facilitate the process. So this mix of different people brings out the best ideas. Another point about culture is how do you make it more fun? A big part of culture is making innovation more fun, making product development more fun. So one interesting one model that works is using innovation games. So I have a URL over there, and this tends to work well in agile teams. So for every step of your agile process, you introduce a game that just makes it more interesting and more exciting and more fun. So for example, let's say like buy a feature online. So that game is as you're prioritizing as a product manager, for example, you're prioritizing your backlog. What should we work on next? Instead of just asking your customers, hey, what should we work on next? If you ask them that, they're going to ask you for everything. So with this buy a feature online game, the way it works is you give them some fake money, and you show them the backlog, and you put a price on each one, and see which features they buy, and do it across like 6 or 10 different customers, and see what features bubble up. So there are different ways to make the process more fun and improve the overall culture. So the next point is experiment. And I'd say this is very important to software development, because we have the ability to actually build something and do something. If you're in construction, for example, you can't experiment. You can't just go build a building for fun. In software, you can. You have the option. You can go off and write some code and build a website overnight or a mobile app. So it's important to experiment. So the few points here are: it's important to actually run experiments rather than speculate. Also, try to be lean about your experiments and move fast and validate everything as soon as you can. And it's also important to build early. Like the less time you spend on requirements and definition and design, the better. The advantage of building early is you can use the early prototype to show to your stakeholders, to show to your clients, and get quick feedback, and that helps promote the idea even more. The next point is it's a very important point, no penalty for failed experiments. The openness to experimental failure is so important. I can't stress that enough. And the next one, as I mentioned, is focus on building real products versus plans and designs. And also actually having time allocated for experimentation, like hack days or 20% time or whatever you want to call it. So as you're experimenting, there are a lot of tools available now that help build quick prototypes. So besides just writing code straight up, you can actually use various tools. So for example, with Flinto, you can actually build a almost working prototype of a tablet app. So it's very important to experiment and prototype as early as you can. All right. So the next point here is collaboration. The more you cross-pollinate, the better. It's important to collaborate as much as you can. That means collaborating within the company and outside the company. So for internal collaboration, you can do things like joint working activities across business units. So I've seen this trend in the media industry where you have a lot of hackathons. You have collaborative hackathons with technology, and you have editorial, you have marketing, and everyone comes in and comes up with a new idea, and they actually go build it over a weekend. And also brainstorming across different groups. Another thing that works is embedding teams. So like, for example, bringing someone from development and putting them in ops for a couple of days. And also longer-term exchange programs within groups. So not just a temporary like rotation, something more longer-term where, like for example, somebody from the desktop team spends 3 months with the mobile team. In software, I think having a common code base really helps. So try to make sure everything is centralized. You have like your own GitHub or SVN that's highly searchable, because that's very relevant to software. Another point here is cross-team skill breakdown. So this means in any company you have many different, in any software company, if you have a big enough company, you have different teams working on different things. So though they're working on different products, you still have front end, you have back end, you have expertise. So it's important to know what the skill set is, and then grouping them together and allowing them to share ideas. So it's an example of internal collaboration. So a few years ago, I was working with Verizon. Somebody had the idea to make Manhattan Wi-Fi enabled by putting a hotspot on a phone booth, and then the phone booths have a phone line going to them already. So to provision DSL broadband on the phone line, and with the hotspot on them, it would basically mean that Manhattan is Wi-Fi enabled overnight. And that actually happened. So we worked with different groups, with the real estate folks, with the folks who are responsible for the phone booths, with the landline folks, and with broadband. And it was a major internal collaboration. And that resulted in Wi-Fi available across Manhattan, almost in like a few months. Next point here is external collaboration. And it's very important to have external collaboration. A few ways to do it are working with universities. Universities are always working on the latest, not just because they're working on new research projects, but it's because the demographic is obviously the younger demographic, and they're into the cool new stuff. So they always have good ideas. But as you're working with them, it's not just enough to work on a research project. You actually have to work on, try to build something if you do this. Try to work on a project. The next point is to open up your API and conduct contests. There's certain platforms available to do this. It's pretty important. Opening up the API helps engage the development community, attract talent, and also give back to the community. And another point here is many companies work with all sorts of partners. They could be sales partners, they could be customers, They could be marketing partners. So bring them in, like invite them over, have them give you a talk on what they're working on, what's cool and new, because that helps ignite new ideas. So external collaboration is equally important. There's some insights about collaborating externally. If you're involving partners, try to involve them early and not later in the process. So if you're coming up with a new idea, try to do it as early as you can. The earlier, the sooner you bring people in, the better. Like you'll get the best ideas at the right stages. Another point about software is the importance of critical experts. So the value of a critical expert in software is phenomenally important. So bringing in, for example, an HBase expert, or a Hadoop expert, a big data expert, or a HTML5 expert, that can have major impact. That can have 10 times the impact of trying to figure it out yourself. So try to bring in critical experts on different technologies as you can. The next point is every stage matters. So as you're developing software, every stage is an opportunity for innovation, be it user experience, front end, middle layer, back end, hardware, support. It's possible to innovate at all of those stages. The same thing in your product stack, you can also innovate at every stage. And as well in your process, so from idea generation to planning to development, testing, there are opportunities for innovation in all those steps. So one point is, how do you introduce innovation at all these different stages? So one way to do it is to do an introspective. So introspective means you basically take a close look at all your different stages of development. So bring in your team and talk about all the different phases. So talk about idea generation and ask what's working, what's not working, and what are we confused about. And just outline all those points, go around the room, and do the same for development, do the same for testing, do the same for operations, do the same for deployments. And once you have all those points, like what's working, what's not working, what's confusing, then for the points that are not working and for the points that are confusing, identify actions. And for each action, assign an owner. And the owner is supposed to follow up on those actions the next time you meet. By the time you meet the next time, they should have a resolution. So by doing this, you bring out the best ideas, you identify the biggest problems, and you have a path to solving them across the process. Now, an example of innovation at every stage is Amazon recently launched the new Kindle. So the new Kindle has a button in it. It's called the Mayday button. So the Mayday button is a button like when a user presses the button, it brings up a support representative right there. It's a video conference with a support rep. So, and you can work with them, they can see your screen, and they can help solve your problem right there. So that's innovation at on the product, but at the support stage of the interaction. I think that's genius. And the last point here about innovating in software is scouting. So scouting means seeking out new technologies, like trying to find out what's new, what are the new technologies, what are the new software that people are using. So a good way to do scouting is to look at your competition, look at successful startups, also look at research centers. A lot of technology research groups that are working on amazing stuff. And the next one is conferences. So I think opportunities like this, like QCon. QCon is a great way to learn about new technologies, to scout, to see what everyone else is working on, what's new, and what should we be doing. The next point is to look at trending projects on things like GitHub. What project is getting a lot of followers? That's a great way to see what's, to find new technologies. The next one is to experiment with new technologies. So as you find out about new software or new languages, experiment with them. Try to build something and see what that does for you. And the next point is trend to technology ecosystem linking. So that means take a step back from software and look at the trends that are out there. Look at what's the new hot technology, what's the new hot product out there. Like wearable computing is a very exciting space. There's a lot happening there right now. So try to observe the trends and then try to work through the value chain. Like look at what are the components in the ecosystem, what new technologies will be adopted as a result, and what new technologies meet our current needs, and try to use those technologies. Like how do you adopt those technologies? So here's a snapshot of technologies that have had impact in the last 2 years. Just in the last 2 years, there's a brand new technologies that have had a pretty major impact. So that's the thing about software. There's a lot happening, and it's very important to keep an eye on it and understand and learn what's new and try to gain deeper insight into that. So those are the 7 steps of innovation. So just to summarize, a recap, it is possible to proactively apply innovation. It's not just some ideas or strokes of genius or a short-term thing. It's definitely something that can be proactively applied, and there's 7 steps that I've seen work pretty well. And hope you're able to apply some of these and innovate and create the next great product. I'll leave you with a thought here. Ideas are nobody's monopoly. Thank you.